Sup nerds. So in today's video we're going to be starting a new series called What to Watch and What to Not MCU Edition, which will cover the Marvel projects that came out after Endgame that people decided just weren't going to be any good. My goal is to give the casual fans a way back into the MCU because with the projects coming out really soon, I feel like people are going to have to catch up really fast. Basically, I'm going to be suggesting which projects to watch and which ones not, because there's a lot of good projects that came out after Endgame, and I think people should definitely experience them. But if people don't feel like watching certain projects, I am here to give you a slightly in-depth analysis, which isn't too long, but also isn't too short. If you do enjoy this series and are excited for more videos like this, and you like the content that is already on my channel, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you get a notification when the next video like this comes out. And without further ado, let's get straight into the setup of WandaVision. Boom. Age of Ultron. Wanda and her brother Pietro are played by Elizabeth Olsen and Aaron Taylor Johnson. The characters grew up in a country named Sokovia, where they lost their parents in a bombing. The bomb crashed in their house, killed their parents, and destroyed their home, but never technically went off. So on the side of the bomb, they were able to read Stark Industries. This made them very angry. So with nothing else left, they decided to get experimented on. These experiments were run by Baron Strucker, and a lot of the participants died, but not the twins. They were able to handle the Mind Stone's powers and even got powers of their own, and is best stated by Maria Hill.
He's fast and she's weird.
They then decide to work with Ultron, but then he wants to take things too far and destroy the entire world, and so they decide to switch teams. The Vision is created from the Mind Stone and Thor and Tony and Hulk and a bunch of people, but he is a pure AI that hopes to learn from humans and help them make the world a better place. Civil War and the events leading into Infinity War with Wanda and Vision on the run, they start to form a romantic relationship. In Infinity War, Wanda is forced to kill Vision in hopes to stop Thanos from getting the Mind Stone, but her plan fails. Thanos turns back time and she has to watch Vision die all over again, and then she gets blipped. In Endgame, Wanda comes back with so much agony, and she pretty much has no one to come for her other than Clint, but he has to get back to his family. So she's pretty much on her own, and that leads us to a few weeks after Endgame, and that's when our story begins. Episode 1. Everything is normal and funny, just like a sitcom normally is, until the first commercial where everything takes an unsettling turn. There's an ad for a toaster that the ticking of the toaster sounds exactly like the bomb that killed Wanda's parents. At the end of the episode, Vision invites his boss over to his house for dinner. His boss starts to ask Wanda questions about before Westview, before her and Vision moved there. He then begins to choke on his food. His wife begins to beg Wanda to stop it. So at first you just think it's about him choking, but no, underneath the surface, we realize she's asking her to stop the Hex, to let them go. Episode 2. This episode follows the same beats as episode 1, but shows more involvement from outside of the Hex, like Jimmy on the radio, the red helicopter, and the red blood on Dottie's hand, which are really cool details that foreshadow that the series is coming into color by the end of the episode. The second commercial shows us the Strucker watch with the Hydra logo on it, reminding us of Wanda's origin and making sure we keep that detail in the front of our minds. Vision using his powers all willy-nilly and no one reacting really that crazily shows us that the people in Westview aren't of the right minds. The ominous chant for the children that coincides with a lot of other points in the series that pushes Wanda to have kids could come from two alternative motives that actually align. One, the parents of Westview want to see their kids again and Wanda's not letting them go. And two, Agatha wants Wanda to have children so she can use them to manipulate Wanda to do whatever she wants. The ending of the episode actually has the Hex bending more to Wanda's will, with her getting pregnant with the twins, her basically reversing time with her just saying no, and the end of the episode moving into color into episode 3. Episode 3. Herb actually malfunctions and cuts into his wall with a chainsaw, probably because Wanda isn't doing this completely intentionally and not on her own, as well as the fact that she's pregnant, and so Agatha has to go over there and correct him. Hydra Soap being the third commercial tells us that Wanda in her agony just wants to relax and start a family, so she literally creates some other world without going anywhere. Wanda hides her pregnancy in a lot of ways similar to actresses that get pregnant during the filming of a show or a movie, so she holds stuff in front of her belly or wears really bulky clothing. For a split second, Wanda snaps out of her Hex world and she talks about her brother Pietro with her accent coming in, and she sings to the twins with a Sokovian accent, and then Monica brings up that Ultron killed Pietro and she kind of freaks out on her. Episode 4 starts with one of my favorite moments from the series and in the entire MCU, where they show how mentally scary the blip was, especially in a hospital setting, compared to whereas in Far From Home they used it just as a joke, and in the Falcon Winter Soldier they show it as a societal problem, a societal scariness that shows how logistically, financially, and socially it had a great, scary impact. We then get our first look at S.W.O.R.D., an organization just like S.H.I.E.L.D., but for cosmic threats, and this organization will be very important for the future of the MCU. You'll see by the end of the series. Jimmy Woo flashes up his business card, a trick he learned from Scott Lang in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and he tries to explain the situation to Monica, but she wants to take a little bit more of a hands-on approach, so she gets whooped into the Hex. Darcy Lewis gets to come back, and she shows she's not just funny, but she's actually really smart too. She was smart in Thor, she just kind of played the comedic role, but she helps Jimmy and Monica figure out the mysteries of the Hex. The other point of view in episode 4 is so fun because in the first 3 episodes we get to fall in love with the fun of the series, and then we get to lock in and figure out the mystery in episode 4. Also, the jump scare of Vision was absolutely terrifying out of nowhere. In episode 5, Agatha asks Wanda if she should take it from the top, like she's the director of the sitcom, but it's actually the boys age up for being little babies to little kids, and in the new intro it actually shows baby pictures of them alongside actually Elizabeth Olsen as a kid and an aging Vision which actually never existed. Hayward then starts to show his cards by antagonizing Jimmy when he tries to explain Wanda's past. Agatha then obviously creates Sparky to try to figure out how Wanda was able to bring Vision back from the dead, because then later in that same episode she kills Sparky, which also, by the way, beyond messed up. Too far. Monica's x-ray scans indicate that she's actually pure light, so she becomes Photon by the end of the series. Vision slowly starts to realize something's wrong with the town, so he taps into Norm's mind to figure out that Wanda is actually controlling everything. The armed drone enters the Hex, and Wanda doesn't take kindly to this, so she leaves the Hex, throws the drone back at him, and warns him not to bother her. Lagos paper towels. Wanda's big oopsie she did in Civil War, where she launched an explosion up into the air, exploding a building, but it was an explosion caused by crossbones, so it was a mess she didn't mean to make. Vision then confronts Wanda and tries to stop her from ending the episode by avoiding the credits, and they get into an engagement, but then there's a ring at the doorbell. Evan Peters Pietro, Peter Maximoff, is alive and shows up in the Hex, but we later learn that it's not him, it's just some actor named Ralph Bohner. What are you doing? Evan Peters Pietro reminds Wanda of a memory that he didn't even live because he's Ralph Bohner. But also it's weird because he's not even the Aaron Taylor Johnson version of the character. Vision remains angry with Wanda and he tries to figure out what the Hex is and how to stop it. Wanda, Pietro, and the kids go trick-or-treating, and Wanda tries to test Pietro's memory by testing him of events that happened before the Hex, because deep down she knows it's not her brother. Wanda's inability to fully control the Hex is shown when the mom glitches when she's trying to hang up a decoration, even while Vision watches. The Yo Magic commercial shows how Wanda is literally keeping herself alive and the Hex alive with her magic, and the radical character that shows up, Pietro, is a direct link to the shark in the commercial. Vision figures out he died, and he then tries to leave the Hex to figure out how to stop it. Pietro constantly pokes at Wanda to try to get a confession from her on how she created the Hex, but we learned it wasn't him at all. It was Wanda ends the episode expanding the Hex, saving Vision, but also bringing in Darcy and a bunch of other S.W.O.R.D. agents. In episode 7, Wanda is a complete mess, and the episode reflects it. Agatha, as the director, tries to poke at Wanda again to make her break to give up her powers. The Nexus commercial confirms that Wanda is a Nexus being, which basically just means she can access the multiverse and certain aspects of it more than a lot of different characters. Billy and Tommy develop their powers even more in this episode, and Billy is able to find out that Agatha is locking her thoughts and memories away from Wanda and him. Monica pushes through the Hex to develop and unlock her powers, even being able to see light energy. Vision and Darcy are being stopped from getting back home and finding Wanda from multiple different distractions like road work and interviews, and Vision realizes this and flies away. Wanda meets the real Agatha and is stopped from using her powers because of the runes that Agatha has casted. We ended the episode going through the events of WandaVision from Agatha's point of view, showing her controlling everything, being behind the scenes, being the director, and just controlling everything, and I guess you could say that it was basically the The post-credit scene of this episode has Monica going to the basement of Agatha's house with the purple ropes and the vines or whatever they are, and then getting jumped by Evan Peters' Pietro. Agatha's origin story comes from her using dark magic, and even her own mother and her coven go to kill her. But Agatha's too powerful. She takes in their powers and kills the rest of her coven, including her own mother, making her even more powerful. Agatha breaks down Wanda and her biggest moments as a person to try to figure out why she created the Hex and how she did it. We then learn that Wanda created the Hex based on her comfort shows sitcoms. The reason that Wanda was able to survive the bombing that killed her parents was because she casted a probability hex, which is a side effect of her being a Nexus being. So that basically means that when something bad could happen, when Wanda's there, it just won't happen. She's not aware of this ability because then she tries to explain to Agatha that the bomb was just a dud, when it wasn't. We then see Wanda getting experimented on with the Mind Stone, and she's shown her future from the Mind Stone, showing her that she can become the Scarlet Witch. Wanda begins to bond with Vision after the events of Age of Ultron, where Vision delivers the line, "What is grief if not love persevering?" Which on its own is one of the most fantastic lines in the MCU, and I could do a whole video on it. That won't be today, but with that line, Wanda realizes that Vision isn't just a robot. He's an intelligent, uncorrupted soul that could give her the joy that she really needed. Wanda finds Vision's body after Endgame and sees that Hayward is literally tearing him apart. And so she goes to go over to him, and they twist the line, "I just feel you," where Wanda feels Vision's presence through the Mind Stone, to a line that is so sad, "I can't feel you." Wanda then looks at the property deed that Vision gave to her and bought while they were on the run after the events of Civil War, and that means he believed that they were going to be able to settle down and start a family and live in a little town in New Jersey. In her grief, Wanda is able to create the Hex, and little bit of the Mind Stone that's left in her body, she uses that to create Vision. Agatha ends the episode by strangling Billy and Tommy with her little magic, and then calls out Wanda as the Scarlet Witch, the wielder of chaos magic. In the post-credit scene of this episode, Hayward is actually really smart, and he actually baits Wanda into giving him something infused with her magic so he can bring back Vision as his weapon, but this time, he's icy cold. In episode 9, every attack that Wanda sends at Agatha, she takes a little bit of her magic. White Vision then shows up and literally smushes Wanda's head together, and you can hear her skull start to crack. Agatha shows that Wanda's literally kidnapping and torturing the people of Westview unknowingly, but she gives them pain that when they are awake and they're alive, they literally beg for death. Evan Peters' character finally gets revealed as the actor Ralph Boner, and he is being used by Agatha with those little, bead necklace to do her bidding. Hayward literally starts to shoot at Billy and Tommy, but Monica's able to slow down the bullets with her photon energy, and Billy is able to stop a bullet using magic just like his mom. Vision proves to White Vision that neither of them, but also both of them, are the true Vision. He does this by using the Ship of Theseus as an example, showing how the White Vision is the vibranium of Vision, and the Vision here is the Mind Stone version of Vision. So using his powers of the Mind Stone, he's able to unlock the memories of White Vision, and then White Vision flies away. Wanda then casts runes on the Hex, shouldn't have taught her that, to take away Agatha's magic so she can be the prophecy. She can be the Scarlet Witch. Wanda says bye to her sons and Vision in hopes of seeing them again. She flies away and tries to find a way back to them. Post-credit scene 1, we have Monica finding a scroll in the town, and then she tells her that Nick Fury wants to see her and have her join S.W.O.R.D. in the proper way. In post-credit scene 2, we see Wanda astral project herself, reading the Darkhold and trying to look for her family, but then the last thing we hear are the screams of Billy and Tommy in another universe calling for their mom's help. WandaVision did a lot of important things for the future of the MCU, including setting up the supernatural parts of the MCU with the witchcraft and the runes and everything, setting up projects like Agatha All Along, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Moon Knight, Blade, and hopefully the Midnight Suns. They also set up Nexus beings, which I think and hope are very important in Secret Wars, and they have some sort of leadership role and some sort of power that the other characters who are not Nexus beings don't have. White Vision was also established, which is really cool. Hopefully he leads the Young Avengers, or he brings back Ultron in some way. I don't know how they'd explain it, but something like that would be really cool for the character. Alongside the projects listed before, hopefully this series impacts a lot of future projects like the Marvels, the Vision series, Agatha All Along, Armor Wars, and maybe even a Young Avengers project. So now we get to the main point of this video. Should you watch WandaVision? Well, on one hand, you have the first 2 episodes in black and white. It's very sitcom-y. Like, if you don't like sitcoms or rom-coms or like any of that, like, I get why you wouldn't like the series. So that's one part of it. They also set up a lot of stuff and then never execute on it, like the aerospace engineer, Evan Peters as Pietro. But the series does bring in a whole new genre of the MCU. It also develops how the blip affected people. It helps build up Wanda's backstory even more. I'd say every aspect of this cast really worked well together and they had really good chemistry. Instead of it just being implied, we finally get a showcase of Wanda and Vision's dynamic and how their powers work together and just like their romantic intimacy works together, and it's really beautiful. So my verdict is, watch WandaVision. It's so fantastic. It's so fresh. It's not just a superhero story, and I give it an 8.7 out of 10, a B- on my tier list, and it's just fantastic. It's just fun. It impacts a lot of future projects in the MCU, and it's just a beautiful series. So that's the end of the video. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did enjoy, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to see more videos like this in the future when they first come out. Like Loki and Falcon Winter Soldier are going to get videos just like this. Also, Deadpool and Wolverine releases later in July, so you're going to get a video on that and an update of my tier list ranking. And as always, make sure to have a fantastic day. And if you cannot have a fantastic day today, have a fantastic day tomorrow. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later, nerds!